the trick is if you're backed by a publisher, authenticated, trustworthy, Amazon doesn't scrutinize your book anymore. It was those moments where you transform a crisis into, an upgrade and it pushes you forward because everything streamlined so much for us and for the author. The authors now, they have a much better publishing service by us. They don't have to worry about anything. All they have to do now is ask us like, hey, I want books. All right, we'll print books for you. Hey, where are my links? Where are my here it is. You don't have to worry about anything anymore.
I want to ask you about something that happened, we'll say in the last 6 months, which is Amazon by far is the biggest book distributor in the world. And a lot of people think of Amazon as self-publishing and go set up an Amazon account and publish your book, right? So that's the norm for many, many years. And as they've seen more AI slop come out, meaning someone goes to ChatGPT, writes their book, publishes it, etc., it's ultimately had a chilling effect, meaning that companies like Amazon and others are starting to crack down on what they consider AI slop, meaning that, they don't want to put their name behind a book that's not reputable. And we got caught in the crosshairs because we have very high standards for our books. But I think Amazon created an overactive, overachieving AI, ironically enough, that would just start rejecting half the books that were submitted to it. And it was never human reviewed. It was just some AI machine that, found some word, maybe self-promotional language or what have you, and said, oh, this book is rejected. And so tell us a little bit about that. And then what we've evolved into now from going from simply relying on Amazon as our book distributor to now what we currently do for authors, which is, I believe, a meaningful upgrade in the actual content that we provide.
Yeah. Yeah. When we started the whole publishing, it was meant to be something more, centralized into the author's hands. Like we would help them write the book. This was like ancient times for us, right?
3 years ago.
In modern times, that's like, wow. So we had this where we used to work with the authors with their own accounts because it was more comfortable for some authors and for us at that time with our scale, right? So the way that we operated is we asked the author to create a new account on Amazon KDP, different from their shopping accounts, because we would need to have access to it. And then we would submit the files, send it to them. And then I had a very unsettling experience as a manager managing, 20, 30 plus accounts where authors started sending me emails they were getting from Amazon. Like, my book has been denied. What's happening?
And to be clear, this was sometimes and maybe oftentimes after it was accepted. I mean,
just to
paint the picture, that we published the paperback book, no problems. And then we took the next step and published the Kindle version of the book. And suddenly they not only rejected it, they rejected the original version that they accepted.
Exactly. So I went into a mission when I found out that this was not an isolated problem. It happened, in the same week. I think it was the week that they started doing the AI verification thing, because all of the authors, they started getting emails at the same week. And then we understand that it was a problem. And then I digged into this, forums, their own forums, trying to find what other people were saying. And then I understood the problem. And our first solution was to make some adjustments into the language. So we started putting more disclaimers and making small changes to comply what they were asking, which proved not very efficient.
Let me add a little bit of context to that. And this is all from what you've relayed to me, because I've been fortunate to say, Nathan, please solve this. Which you have, happy ending, right?
Yeah.
But before, we may have, and you can say it in your own words, but so for context, there's a category called Your Money, Your Life, which is YMYL, which is personal finance. And so all of the major platforms, Amazon, Google, YouTube, you name it, any kind of content that relates to your money, your life, which essentially is personal finance, they provide extra scrutiny to, because the government is looking at them and putting pressure on them, et cetera. And so I think what happened, and I could be wrong, because Amazon's terrible about actually giving us actual information. We have to guess at this, but because all of our clients are financial advisors and it's all your money, your life content, that's where their overactive AI machine just started, no, and it's like, well, what's wrong with it? We can't tell you. So you had to go on an adventure of sorts.
Yes, I had. And then I found out this was more of a language, and then which was frustrating for some authors and for ourselves, because the book has,
and reasonably so. I just published my book, and why is it getting rejected? I mean, it's frustrating across the board.
Until the day that some of our authors, one of our authors had their account suspended for good. And then what we did was, we already had a couple, I think it was like 4 months prior to this or more, we had a conversation about changing the way we publish, right? Leaving the personal account idea. And then we started, as everything, we put it into place very carefully. We make tests out of it before putting it to an actual process or product. We kind of had that started already. So it was time for me to sit down and say, hey, remember this project that we would need 6 months to put into place? We need to put it into place in 2 weeks tops. So I worked all of the extra hours I could. I got all the help I could with the team, which is always very helpful. And we put everything into place where we now have an account with a distributor called IngramSpark, that there are two very important distinctions. First, everything is controlled and centralized by us now with one publishing account. So the author doesn't have to worry about having an account and, access and tax information that they have to give to Amazon. Everything is on us. We can print their books. If they don't want to be published, we can simply print them now, private print it. And also, it doesn't go only to Amazon. Now our authors, everybody that work with us, they are published to over 100 online bookstores in the United States. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble, it goes to Walmart, it goes to Target, it goes to many other retailers in the United States. So it gives even more authority, right? Because now it's not just an Amazon thing, it's everywhere. After the distribution is ended, if you type the name of the book or the ISBN, it shows all of those stores that your book is in there. And the best part is, the author now is backed up by our imprint. Instead of showing there that it was self-published, or sometimes it doesn't even show that, it shows that it was published by us. And the trick is, if you're backed by a publisher, authenticated, trustworthy, Amazon doesn't scrutinize your book anymore.
The same books that under the individual self-published Amazon account that it would reject and not give us clear reasons, we've taken those same books and we've republished them under our imprint as a publisher through this platform called IngramSpark, right back to Amazon. Zero issues.
No problem. Zero issues. Everybody's published, selling, happy, distributing. It was those moments where you transform a crisis into, an upgrade, and it pushes you forward, because everything's streamlined so much for us and for the author. The authors now, they have a much better publishing service by us. They don't have to worry about anything. All they have to do now is ask us, like, hey, I want books. All right, we'll print books for you. Hey, where are my links? Where are my here it is. You don't have to worry about anything anymore. Everything's handled by us. So I really liked the outcome. It was very unsettling at that time. I saw myself thinking about this at any time of the day when it started the problem. I was cooking and I was like, how are we going to solve this problem? Every email, I was like sweating, but everything turned out very fine.